Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name is Marcy, and today we are going to be talking about something that has been popping up on my social media quite a lot. So this is about when you're choosing a partner, so we all have criterias, like you want someone tall, someone short, someone with a job, someone who is up and coming, someone older than you. Some people choose they want a skinny person, they want big person, they want tall people, they want people from a specific race, people from a specific country. If people from a specific community, and some people actually, this evolves with age, and some people this stays the same, like they have a set mindset, and that does not really change. Now, yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about. Quite a weird topic to be talking about, but well. hmm. Okay, so let me first give a background of where this thing, why it's bugging me and where it came from. So it came from, I was watching TikTok, and so there's actually this whole group of people who are um fat activists, I guess. Yeah, so basically they think anybody who does not support people being obese is fat phobic. So I don't know. I just I, sometimes I feel like I wake up and I'm looking and I'm thinking we're living in some weird twilight zone, and I'm not really sure that I don't know. It's hard to know what's real and what's fake, but then I don't know. It's just crazy out there. Anyway, so apparently there are these people who believe that. And these people also tend to believe that if one of your preferences is to date people who are not very fat, you are fat phobic. And for some weird reason, they decided that fat phobia, which I don't even think is a real thing, but okay, fine. So it's there. The vocabulary keeps growing, and we keep learning new words and adding new words to our vocabulary. So so fat phobia is apparently a word. And yeah, so they decided that you're fat phobic if you don't date people who are big. Now, I think it was the same thing, and then there came another one where it was men who don't date trans women are transphobic. Um, and of course, the men who were defending themselves, they were like, come on, I like what I like. And to me, I'm looking at you and thinking, you're not a woman. And I mean, so he's just not attracted to them. And then there came the attack on the lesbians who don't date trans women because they were told they're transphobic. And they said, but I don't like women who haven't had like the bottom surgery, because to me, I don't do people who have not had the bottom surgery. For those who don't know, bottom surgery is when you finally, like, trans people go through the whole process, and when they finally cut off their when they finally change their genitalia, that's what's called a bottom surgery. So some of them do it, some of them don't do it. Um, from what I've gathered, and this I actually had to check, um, it's mostly to do with it's quite expensive in some places. There are hardly, I didn't check this, but there are no countries that there are very few, if any, countries that actually pay for it. So it's not something that many people can afford. So many people either end up doing it in countries where it's cheaper, or they just don't do it. But it does not define whether you've transitioned or not. Um, yeah. And then there are people who are defending themselves against the fact that they don't. date bigger people said, I just don't feel like I want to date somebody that I physically don't feel attracted to. Because, if you, I mean, there are some of us who, and I'm one of those, I need to be physically attracted to you. I don't care how intelligent, how nice, how rich you are. Well, haven't met a rich, very handsome person, very ugly person yet. Maybe I don't know, but I just feel like sometimes, visual. I'm very visual when it comes to relationships. But yeah, so they were like, if someone doesn't find you physically attractive, then they just won't date you. And they were like, there's nothing wrong with that. And then there was all this conversation about the um, the black and African men, the black African Asian, all these men who date Caucasian women, and people's issue was the fact that um, who prefer to date women of a different race, and then people say that it's self-hate and stuff like that. And well, I don't know. I mean, you're attracted to who you're attracted to. So on TikTok, this has been a conversation and a lot of insults and a lot of looking down on others for reality that I don't think it's going to change, right? Because at the end of the day, you're married. You're the one who's married to this person. Anyway, now what I think about it. So I think growing up, many people, not for everybody, but for many people, especially people who grow up in a happy home, a home which has a mom and dad who actually are happy, and that is the kind of marriage you would like. Most of the time, you would want your first love. You would be thinking more somebody like your mother or your father. If you're a man, you'll be thinking someone like your mother would be the ideal wife. If you're a woman, you'll be thinking your dad would be the ideal man. So most of the time, that is where you're attracted to. And it can be racial, it can be just basically how your dad looks. And I think when you look, I tried to think about this when I was starting, and most of my friends who got married very young, like by very young, I mean the ones who got married before they were 25, many of them got married to, well, except the ones who got pregnant and then, yeah, you had to stick with the guy. The ones who actually got married to somebody they chose and wanted to get married to, they got married to people who are so much like their fathers, like people whose personalities are so much like their fathers. And I think that's how many people in the past used to do it, which is why many people, there's this saying that women grow up to marry their fathers. And I think that's how it used to be, because then you grow up and you get married to at least your first five boyfriends. Now things have changed, because now people start dating at 14 and somehow get married at 40. So in between, you've dated people who are like your father. You've learned that no, they are not, because they are not treating you right. You've managed to talk to your mother, and the older she gets, the more honest she gets, and the more she tells you, that dude wasn't as good as you thought. Maybe somewhere along the line, your father died, and during his funeral, two or three other women showed up, and then you're like, this guy actually had mistresses. Where did he have the time? So there are quite a lot of things that come into play, and then you start looking at your father in a different way. So then maybe you go like, okay, I want the extreme opposite of him. And then now you go the extreme opposite, realize the extreme opposite doesn't work either. Try to find some happy middle. Anyway, eventually you find your own person. Um, the other thing that happens maybe is for some of us who we left our country of birth when we were very young, like I left Kenya when I was 21, and you move to a different country, and then your first thought is, oh, it would be interesting to date people from a different race, because, well, it's not something that is readily available to me where I come from. I was not privileged to go to an international school where I had all this um, boys of different races for me to be able to date. So, of course, curiosity, you want to know if everything you've been watching in the movies is true. So that happens quite a lot. And then now it becomes an adventure, and maybe you go like, this is nice and stuff like that. And then, of course, you start hearing about divorce rates and things like that. And then you don't think about societal reasons why people are divorcing. And then you keep thinking, yeah, maybe these people divorce a bit too much. Maybe these people are too, maybe these people are too give up too easily. Maybe, they're just too superficial. So then you give up and then you go like, okay, let me go back to my people. You go back to your people, you realize things are not good there. Then, back and forth. So there's a lot that goes into who you finally end up choosing if you don't get married to your first one or two loves. Now, the only thing that doesn't change in all this is what you find attractive. I know quite a lot of people who are married to somebody who is not conventionally, I really hate that word, conventionally beautiful. And they will be the first ones to tell you that, listen, my husband was not my type, or my wife was not my type, but we met and I came to love him for this and this and this and this other reasons. And they tell you that their love goes deep beyond the looks. Then you meet these people who you have one of the couples is gorgeous. And I remember when I was younger, I used to be really fascinated by this because I used to be like, that woman could get anybody. Why is she with that man? And it used to really annoy me when then you see that kind of couple where to me in my mind, my young mind at the time, I'm thinking she is doing him a favor by being with him. He is way beneath her. She is way out of his league. And then you see the man treating the woman badly. And you're like, isn't he even grateful? Doesn't he feel privileged? And the same thing when it's the other way around. I used to be like, what kind of a woman treats this kind of a guy badly? What kind of a woman cheats on a guy like this? And it just used to be really fascinating for me when I used to see that. Now, that was when I was younger, and I did not realize that you can be very, very beautiful or very, very ugly and still have a shitty, horribly, horribly, horribly nasty character. There are people who are just bad. They are just mean. They are just not nice people to be around. And then there are people who you you can love them for how they look, but not for how they behave. And then maybe you get into the relationship and then you're like, okay, I'm superficial. I have to stay with this person. Oh, he is going to make such cute babies. Let me stick it out just for the babies. And then you have children, and then you have to stay just for the sake of the children, and then nobody's happy and everybody's miserable. But there are so many reasons. But one thing is for sure, people who value what people look like will always be there. It doesn't make them bad people. It's the same way that someone can say, I will only marry someone from my religion, or I will only marry someone from my country. Some people can choose that. And I feel like this is one of the things that especially when you come from a discriminated group and you feel like the group that you belong to is discriminated against, you don't need the charity of somebody dating you just because of how you look. I think that's just wrong. I think that's just wrong. Somebody should not date you because they feel sorry for you. Someone should date you because they want to be with you. And it would be really sad if you found out that somebody was with you just because they felt sorry um that you are who you are. It's I don't know. For me, I just feel that's I don't know. I think it's sad. It's sad. I wouldn't want to know how it feels. When somebody is with you, knowing that they're only with you because they feel sorry for you, that, oh, I'm only with this person because nobody else can be with her. The reason why I think this is horrible is because at some point that pity will end, and it will be it will not end well. Now, I remember once upon a time I had a boyfriend who we were such a bad match for each other. Oh God, it was just really, really. I don't even know. I think I was too young, and I was, oh, I don't know. I think I was just being irresponsible and stupid. I don't even know where I thought that relationship was going to go. But this person had an issue with my complexion, and he genuinely thought that, Africans have this thing about colorism, which is our own special racism thing where lighter skinned women are graded higher than darker skinned women. And I'm dark skinned, as you can see. And when I was younger, I think that's a whole other video. When I was younger, I even tried bleaching my skin because I think I just got tired of being dumped. All my crushes just used to look for these light skinned women. Anyway, so this person thought that he was doing me a favor by even acknowledging my existence, leave alone dating me, just acknowledging my existence. And let me tell you, it is very bad for your self esteem when somebody keeps telling you that for somebody of my caliber, being with somebody like you really need to get on your knees and thank your God that I actually bothered to pay attention to someone like you. It is horrible. It's really, really horrible. It's not something I would wish on my worst enemy. I think it can really destroy your self-esteem because this is somebody that you love and well, whether it's love, last crush, whatever, but this is somebody you emotionally attached to, and the person keeps telling you that you're ugly, and it's just not nice. So that is not something you want. It really isn't. So if somebody tells you, I don't date big women, leave them. Why do you need to call them fat phobic, whatever phobic? Why do you need to call them all these phobics? No, leave them. Leave them to go look for the person they want. Because at the end of the day, first of all, you might get somebody who that's just a fetish for. He'll be like, well, never tried it, so let me go. Do you really want to be used as a fetish? Be with people who value you, who think that when they are with you, they feel like they won the lottery. I think that's something that we underestimate ourselves. We underestimate how good we can make things anyway. All right, people. So all this to say that you deserve to be loved, and we need to realize that preferences are preferences. They're not prejudices. I think so. I mean, if I say that my preference is to date this type of man, does it mean I hate all the others? No. That just means that when I see that type of man, I'm looking twice. He passes and I go, okay, okay, you know, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's the kind of man that I'm going to end up with, or it doesn't necessarily mean that those are the only men that I might end up with. You never know. I might find somebody who, despite him not fitting into any of my boxes, he ticks any of the looks boxes, he ticks all the other emotional and financial and spiritual and everything other boxes that I have. And if you're intelligent, there is no intelligent person who will choose looks over the full package. So while it might hurt to admit that somebody has not chosen you for whatever reasons they have not chosen you, do you really want to be with somebody who's with you just because they feel they do not want to be told they're phobic? I don't know. I don't think so. Well, for me, I wouldn't. So have a nice, lovely, lovely, lovely day and see ya.